the second eclipse in this massive portal is finally just around the corner. And on top of that, the day after, we have a once in, not even a lifetime, in multiple lifetimes astrological event happening that hasn't happened since the US Civil War. Hello and welcome back to Phoenician Priestess. Today, you'll not only find the forecast for the Aries eclipse, which is the second eclipse in this eclipse season, but you will also find a little bit of information about all the other wild astrological events happening around this time frame all at once. And so I would kind of view this not just as an eclipse forecast, but also as just an overall forecast for a lot of the energy within the next week, next few weeks, and a lot of things that are unfolding for you. In case I didn't say it, because I don't remember, welcome back to Phoenician Priestess. It is I, your Phoenician Priestess, here to give you your weekly, bi-weekly astrological forecast and news. So the Aries eclipse is the second eclipse that we have this season. If you've been watching my last few videos on eclipses, you'll be a lot more familiar with them now and the timing and things like that. But basically, we have two eclipses around every 6-ish months. The last eclipse was at the beginning of March 14th, and it was a full moon eclipse in Virgo. And this one is in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries. It's on March 29th, 2025, at between 3:48 to 3:58 PST. And it is not a true nodal eclipse in the sense that it is not conjunct any of the nodes. The North Node is in Pisces, around 12 degrees away from this eclipse. But this eclipse is actually in some ways still connected to the Aries new moon eclipse that we actually had last, which was a total solar eclipse and happened at 19 degrees of Aries. So both of them were Aries new moon eclipses, but the energy is a bit different. However, you might find in your life that the theme from last year is somehow coming back in a certain way. For some people, and I'm not saying they're both new moon eclipses, so I'm not saying coming back and closing. I'm not saying coming back and, opening, I guess, just coming back. There's a theme from whatever was present. Think back at the beginning of April last year, somehow that theme, that story, that lesson, it's coming back somehow. Okay. Some of you closing, some of you opening, some of you changing, some of you just coming back. The last year Aries new moon eclipse that happened around April 8th, I remember because the day after brought something for me. Yes, almost like clockwork. It was a very loud and externally focused eclipse, and it had more of a fast, urgent feel. This 2025 Aries eclipse is more internal, reflective, subtle, especially because of the multiple retrogrades we have right now in the sky and the Piscean influence happening right now in the sky. What's very interesting is most of the celestial bodies right now in the sky, that the biggest ones that we chart, and I'm even including some of the asteroids that I chart, most of them are divided between Pisces and Aries right now. So there's this very intense Piscean Aries energy, and within this time frame of the entire eclipse portal, there's a lot of ingresses and regresses happening, meaning celestial bodies changing from one sign to the other. And so to really get a detailed recap of how to understand eclipse timings, watch my video, which I think was Eclipse Part 2. And I'm wearing like a burgundy top. Go watch that. Oh no, I just hurt my plant. And like I said, we have not one, not two, but 3 retrogrades in the sky. And a lot of these retrogrades carry a very specific theme, which I'll talk about later. These retrogrades are Mercury retrograde, Juno retrograde, and Venus retrograde. If you're not familiar with Juno, Juno is the planet that talks about life partners, serious life commitment, serious commitment, and marriage. And Mercury is communication, intellectualization, and also things like travel and in some ways technology. And Venus, I'm sure you all know, is love, beauty, harmony, relationships, art, and in some cases, money and finances. And so even though both of these Aries new moon eclipses, both the one this year and last year, are new moons, this one could feel like it's bringing back or evolving a storyline that started last year. You may begin to realize what began last year around the beginning of April wasn't fully ready to materialize, or something you initiated back then is coming back in a new form. God, I'm sweating reading this, thinking of my own life. A chapter you thought was closed is opening with more clarity. Now, at the same time of all of these happening, we also have Neptune at the timing of this eclipse on the exact day at the critical degree of Pisces. Critical degree is the 29th degree. And when we have celestial bodies, I say celestial bodies instead of planets because sometimes we're talking about the nodes and asteroids, etc. So I'm just trying to talk about things in the sky. Anyway, when we talk about Neptune, a planet at a critical degree, at the critical degree is when the energy becomes the most potent. It's not weaker towards the end. It's the most potent before it changes signs. Now, Neptune entered Pisces since 2011, and the cycle is ending now. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac, and Aries is the first sign. Neptune will be going from Pisces into Aries, so it's restarting the cycle. I cannot even begin to tell you how much of a big deal this is. This truly deserves its own video because this is, since November, I've been talking about a lot of life-changing transits, aspects, whatever, all this stuff. This is one of them. This is truly one of them. Every time Neptune has entered Aries, if you track this back in history, the most recent time was the American Civil War, which changed the entire trajectory for the United States. Every time it's happened, something massive has happened that not only affected countries that were big powers in the region, but because those countries were big powers, it thus affected a very large portion of the landscape for humanity and the development of humanity that led us to where we were now. I will go more into this in the eventual Neptune to Aries video I'll talk about, but just let me say this is a big deal. So I'll get to the mundane astrology part later, but what I mean is this can also bring up a lot for us on a personal level. So before it ingresses into Aries, the day after, on March 30th, the day after the eclipse, the day of the eclipse, it's in the last degree of Pisces. So this can bring up emotional or spiritual exhaustion, feelings of floating, confusion, or grief, big realizations about what has been false, unsustainable, or overly idealized. It's also a time where spiritual illusions fall apart, where you begin to see through things that you didn't before. This includes relationships, systems, dreams, spiritual systems, your own behaviors, your own belief, the way you've been blocking yourself. There could be really prophetic psychic dreams, visions. You could be connecting more with people telepathically. Your intuition could be going wild. Your thoughts can be very emotional and turning against you in some ways, or you could feel very connected. A lot of you will be having, if you haven't already, spiritual awakening symptoms, whereas others may be having spiritual delusions collapse, which is why I think you're seeing a lot of things within the spiritual community attacking how wacko the new age spiritual community has become in some ways, and so disconnected in so many ways, and not a good way, I mean. Now, and then the very next day, Neptune actually goes into Aries the day after the eclipse. Now, if you recall, the eclipse window here will still be active. And this is a major shift that will influence themes of the eclipse as well. Because remember, if you watch my timing video, even though the potent window is around the time frame I described, but the actual theme of the eclipse lasts for 6 months after. So when Pisces is about dreams and idealism and escapism and spirituality and other realms and imagination, Aries is about action. It's about fire, action, willpower, independence, and determination. And so this marks a collective transition from dreaming into doing, from emotional processing to courageous action, from universal love to personal conviction. Neptune is a planet that is heavily associated with Pisces because it rules sort of this spiritual nature and this idealism as well, and delusion to some senses. In one sense, they call it the higher vibration of Venus because it's a higher vibration of love. In another sense, it can be the planet of Delulu, you can say. And so with all of this is heightening more people being spiritually reawakened and new motivation. This is one of the few things happening within our lifetime that is making people call this age the age of awakening, the age of the awakening of humanity, the rise in consciousness. Because Neptune being in Pisces is powerful. It's like how we've seen in the last time that Neptune was in Pisces, since 2011, for example, there's been a more mainstream take. It's been more normal to be spiritual, more normal to talk in terms of energy, more normal to exist in this way, which is great. But a lot of that was very internal. It felt like things that were abstract, that were hard to touch. With Neptune going into Aries, this is going to be something that becomes more physical for the average person, understanding that it actually affects our physical reality, more taken seriously. A lot of people will also feel called to action on a soul mission or a spiritual dream. A lot of people will feel fired up, no more just keeping it stagnant to themselves. So throughout this eclipse, even if you feel foggy, but in April, you might start noticing an inner click, a sense of, I'm ready to move forward now. Now, the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is at 22 degrees of Cancer. And Mars is also trining Saturn in Pisces, sextiling Uranus in Taurus, and squaring Chiron in Aries. So this brings an energy with an eclipse that's supporting grounded, emotional action, long-term commitments, and discipline. For a lot of people, this could be committing to where it activates in your chart. For a lot of people, it could be committing seriously to relationships, committing seriously to yourself, committing seriously to finances. There's something about here that's calling grounding and commitment. A lot of people will be having breakthroughs, creative emotional solutions, new family relationship home dynamics. And with the square to Chiron in Aries, this is triggering wounds related to self-expression, bravery, rejection, identity, action, and strength. And self-assurance. So what this means is for a lot of people, you could be feeling emotional triggers, but they're here to help you grow. You're being invited to take responsibility for your emotional reactions, and you can access these breakthroughs if you're willing to leave your comfort zone behind. A lot of this too, with the Mars being the ruler of this in Cancer, and with the Aries energy as well. And remember that this eclipse is in Aries, Mars rules Aries, etc. And Cancer at the same time is emotions and your internal world and the feminine. So how I'm reading this is a big theme, collectively and personally, if it applies, in the healing around the masculine. Oh, I love hearing that. And healing around family, healing around protection, healing around safety. And more normalization, Cancer's emotions, Cancer's feeling of men being in tune in a healthy way with their emotions, and healing the toxic masculine, because masculinity is not only a beautiful thing, it's a hot, sexy, attractive thing, if you ask me, but only when it's healthy. A lot of people, I think part of the agenda has been to conflate unhealthy masculinity as masculinity and make all of masculinity sound toxic. But the truth is, we need polarity. We need feminine and masculine. We need women as women and men as men. In general, energy balance. Individuals can do what they want, but society needs to kind of maintain, just like all things in nature, a yin and a yang. And but a healthy version. And when men are in their toxic version, that's when they are unconsciously hypersexual, treating sex like it's something like treating women like a masturbation object, or treating it as so detached or something so casual, and just being leaky, like sexually leaky. Or they're very angry, or they're violent, or they're controlling, or they don't stand up and protect women, or they give in to peer pressure, or they're, all of these things. But when men are grounded, they are protective, and that comes from love. They provide safety, and it comes from love. They're committed to their family. They're loyal. They're monogamous. You're going to say, oh, you sound so judgmental. No, I do not sound judgmental. But when I state the higher vibration of an energy, I'm not placing judgment. That's you to label it that way. And a lot of what's making you react that way, if you are reacting that way, is the agenda. The agenda has tried to make these things somehow bad. And that was on purpose, to break the family unit and to break break women and to break men. And so part of this awakening of masculinity, we're seeing it everywhere. Thank God, Jesus, when I started in my coaching business, I remember when I would make videos against porn, and oh my God, how the men and the pick-me women would fight me. And now that other men are talking about why you shouldn't watch porn, there's been this whole new wave of men suddenly like, I'm not going to watch porn anymore. Whatever gets you that there, I'm so happy to hear that. But anyway, men are becoming more conscious, more awake, more realizing that women are mirrors. Women take what you give them and they amplify, but they mirror. So if a man gives a woman lack of safety, all he's going to get back is way more lack of safety. If a man wants to create heaven in a relationship or wants an angel, then he has to give her heaven, right? And they're seeing that that applies on a personal level. So what applies on a macro level is, in a way, the breakdown of society is on the backs of men, because women are mirrors. Women are so sensually and energetically and spiritually powerful. You take, they amplify, and they can hold so much, but they are mirrors, right? And if we think of it astrologically, Aries is a masculine, is one of the duality signs, is a masculine sign. Pisces, the ending of the cycle, is one of the duality feminine female energy signs. And Aries is the first. And the end, it ends with Pisces. And that's why feminine energy is associated with kind of chaos. You know, there's this reputation that women are neater than men. And I think that's actually women in their masculine versus men in their feminine, because women, the feminine energy is supposed to be, when it fully in energy, is more in a flow. That's why I'm like flowing. Masculine energy is more structure. Masculine energy loves the structure to create it, and the feminine energy collapses what no longer serves, right? I'm digressing a lot. So this is a theme coming up big in this eclipse. And also, I believe, one of the themes of Neptune ingressing into Aries as well, but more this eclipse, because we have Mars and Cancer ruling this eclipse. And so it's something that a man in your life, or if you are a man, could be feeling, and will feel the next 6 months. Okay. So I also talked about 3 different retrogrades. So there's also a very strong theme here. And I know you guys are going to say, oh gosh, Phoenician Priestess, why are you always talking about love? First of all, I know 90% of you watch this because you want to hear about love. The other 10% is money and politics. But I'm not just doing that for that purpose, and not just because I love talking about it. And listen, we need more love. We need more romance and love in this world with how everything is and going. But it's because, like I said, how to be a good astrologer, it's not just one thing has to indicate something. It's a repetition over a period of time you're examining. And the past few months, a lot of these big transits and celestial events that are happening, they're pointing the same direction in different ways. It's like a story is unfolding in the skies. And so here with this eclipse, here around the timing of this eclipse, not just with this eclipse, we are in a period that is having this energy of revisiting love and communication. So we have Mercury in retrograde. So some of you are getting maybe like happy, or don't get too delulu, right? I'm not saying that your ex is going to come back and you're going to live happily ever after, but this could happen. But there is a theme of revisiting love and communication coming. That's because Mercury is retrograde, started in Aries. Well, by the time it will end retrograde, it will end in Pisces. The day of the eclipse, it is at 0 degrees of Aries, the day, and then it's like we'll go into Pisces right after. It will go direct on April 7th. Venus is in retrograde, also started in Aries, and will also be ending in Pisces. And it will go direct April 12th. That's a big deal that Mercury and Venus are retrograde together from Aries, both moving into Pisces. This is heavily bringing in that theme. And then Juno, the poor forgotten asteroid that a lot of astrologers don't like to talk about, but is my favorite one to work with. Juno, the asteroid, Juno's Eros and Psyche, actually. Anyway, Juno, the asteroid of commitment and marriage, went retrograde on March 20th. And this one has a bit of a longer retrograde cycle. And so these 3 are bringing romantic things and emotions to review during the timing of these eclipses and related to the events that will unfold. You may experience return of exes, return of old flings, return of soulmates. For some of you, this can be literal return of an actual soulmate, or it can just be literal someone you matched from Bumble, someone who, so I know it sounds silly, someone who asked you for a cup of coffee a week ago. I mean, the last 4 days alone, I've had 5 men that I hardly just encountered, but from the past show up again and pop up. And I know it's because truly, truly just, so what I mean, it could be someone even insignificant from the past popping up, but had some kind of romantic intention, or there's an intention there. Some of you could be having closure conversations or mental replays of past love stories. Some of you could be having shifts in what you thought you wanted from love or commitment, and shifts in terms of whether or not you feel ready or not ready, or what, you are now wanting. Some of you have a chance to rewrite emotional or communication patterns, or to heal a serious block when it comes to love. And some of you will have a chance to change the trajectory of your own love story, and that can happen in many different ways. So these retrogrades, starting in Aries and moving into Pisces, is suggesting a lot of people letting go of unhealthy hyper-independence, a lot of people blockading themselves from love, and but at the same time also a lot of people undoing illusions and letting go of fantasy. And a lot of people stepping into their emotions, but trying to do it in a way that is actually true to them. So clarity is coming if you don't feel it yet. And this is something that a lot of clarity for most people will come when these go direct in April. Now, at the same time, Psyche, the other asteroid I said I love, is in direct conjunction to the eclipse. So when the asteroid Psyche is conjunct this new moon eclipse, sorry, not direct, it's 2 degrees, just saw my notes. This is bringing soul level transformation into focus. Now, I even wrote a poem. I'm a writer as well. I have a poem coming out actually in a new book called Psyche and Eros that I wrote last April. And Psyche, the asteroid, there's also an asteroid called Eros. The name comes from the myth of Psyche and Eros. Eros is the the Greek name for Cupid. And he is Aphrodite or Venus's son. And Eros in astrology represents divine sexuality, divine sexual connection, divine sexuality, divine attraction, divine. So of the high nature related to God, to soul. And Psyche represents the soul and soul love. And Psyche and Eros were lovers, and they have a pretty tragic turned happy love story, but they go to a separation. And it's quite sad, the separation. But before the separation, they're so in love and they're besotted by each other. And Psyche, for a long time, doesn't trust, she's said things by other people. And so she starts not trusting Eros. She's not allowed to see his face. And Eros, at the same time, plucked her and saved her from a certain circumstance. And they meet each other at night. And long story short, one day she looks at Eros's face and he feels betrayed. And he leaves her after they were married and intimate and everything. And he leaves her. And without Eros's protection, Psyche goes after him. But without Eros's protection, Aphrodite, Venus, who has been jealous of her, starts to punish her, and she goes through these horrible trials and tribulations. And then Mercury is one of the gods, as well as Jupiter, who plays a part in actually Eros and Psyche coming back together. Mercury helps bring Psyche up to Jupiter, who's Zeus. And then Zeus orders Venus to let them marry. And then Zeus marries Eros and Psyche. Of course, after Eros comes back and asks for forgiveness and realizes he abandoned his soulmate and he overreacted and he did it out of self-protection and vulnerability. That's what it's supposed to represent. And that's the story. I think I very badly told that. Oh, so horribly. When I wrote a love poem, and I named it Eros and Psyche, because the coming of Eros and Psyche together, and you see this as it's something as well in synastry, when they have harmonious aspect, it's a soulmate indicator. It represents the most divine love and the divine overlap between divine soul sexual connection, and soul innocent love, which is what Eros and Psyche both had for each other. And what's interesting is Psyche is conjuncting this new moon eclipse, as we have all these love related things that have been happening the last few months. At the same time, the Mercury and Venus are retrograde, and then they go direct. And in the myth I just told you, Mercury and Venus play a part in the tale of Eros and Psyche. So I think it's really interesting there. That was a rather long tangent for those who love mythology. I hope you liked it. So basically, relationships that feel, so there's transformation in focus here with relationships that feel like Eros and Psyche vibes, destined or karmic, with soul contracts and subconscious patterns, with healing from heartbreak that shaped your identity. And this could trigger strong dreams, emotional releases tied to relationships that felt like they were meant to happen, whether or not they were an imprisoning feeling, or if it actually brings you closer to it, or intuitive insights. So, summary of the collective themes: you could feel emotionally exhausted or deeply introspective, triggered by memories or past relationships, inspired to move forward but unclear how, ready to take action but still in preparation stage, guided to rest, pause, and process, even with the energy building. And there's a theme of identity rebirth through soul clarity, not just reacting but responding from a much deeper place. Moving on to mundane and global predictions. This is focusing on the near time frame, not Neptune transiting into Aries overall. This is again focusing on this eclipse, and Neptune is just a picture of that. So closer time frame, but also considering all the other astrological events happening at the same time, like the retrogrades, the ruler, etc. So in the months followed, but it could be heightened right now, increased focus on spiritual activism, self-led healing paths, embodied awakening, and holistic health. The rise of individualized spirituality over organized spirituality or cult-like delusioned spirituality. Surge of new voices in healing, art, mysticism, and consciousness. I hope I'm one of them. A new era, growing of spiritual entrepreneurship or leadership, and a new way for money and success to align in business. Disclosure, technology, and imagination to action shifts. Increased UFO disclosure, sightings, and big alien-related stuff happening. Increase in spiritual tech, and that in AI and consciousness conversions. Transition from the Piscean dreamlike sense of what's possible to the Aries style implementation of what's next. And suddenly things that we've thought about for years, like for so long, they said, the Jetsons said cars were going to fly and robots could be made. And now that we're moving into this very Aryan stage in some ways, there's going to be a fast thing, energy happening. People will start taking actions very strongly on a personal level on visions they've been sitting on since 2020 to 2023. There's also a collective focus on homeland security, immigration, maternal health, and emotional safety. There's also a focus on military or masculine and family themes in the news. Rise of divine masculine healing. We talked about that when I was talking more on a personal level, but this is also a mass level, especially related to ancestral or family trauma. Public breakups, confessions or reappearances in media or politics. Miscommunication scandals, emotional confessions, spiritual cleanses. Miscommunication scandals, I know that just reminded me of, I wrote this last week, but I'm very slow between me planning and writing my notes for these videos and doing all the analysis to actually recording. It just reminded me of the whole leaked, people are saying, is it fake, is it real, chat with JD Vance about the bombing in Yemen. And him accidentally adding a journalist to that. Anyway, miscommunication scandal. It's because Mercury's in retrograde, moving from Aries into Pisces. Last degree of Aries. Aries is the god. Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. Do you see how it happened? That is literally astrologically sound. Mercury rules communication. Mercury retrograde is miscommunication and mistakes and mishaps. And Mars is the god of war. And Aries is an action-oriented sign also associated with war. So truly, I no longer think that's fake or staged, because that is an exact setup for a miscommunication happening on a public level, especially because solar eclipses tend to show changes very heavily more on a public levels to do with government officials and royals and politics and leaders. So if you're wondering my opinion on that, I now, like, just taking a step back, I don't think it was fake, because that is what is astrologically spelling out. Anyway, focus on rethinking feminine roles, values, and expressions. And again, if you missed it with the Psyche aspect, soulmate reunions, karmic closures, or emotional breakthrough, and that's also being seen in collective media level. Trauma-informed discussions going on in the mainstream. I predict there'll be changes to the therapy field, because therapy has become very institutionalized, like health, like overall health, and more controlled. And I feel like people are wanting a more holistic, alternative, almost mentorship, spiritual combined approach. So I predict there'll be more people either going to things like coaching or priests, like they used to back in the day, or shamans or elder people, or more alternative ways like that. Key dates to watch. March 29th, the Aries Solar Eclipse this video is about. March 30th, Neptune entering into Aries. April 7th, Mercury goes direct. April 12th, Venus goes direct. April 20th to 24th, a lot of the eclipse themes will crystallize or start to manifest if they have not yet. For a lot of you, the ones related to this eclipse would have started to manifest from February 29th. A real leap year this year from February. I didn't mean to say February 29th. Don't roast me for that one. I just 30 minus. But again, for the next 6 months, watch for stories that are seeded now to start to unfold. So this eclipse is about emerging from the fog with new clarity, but that clarity comes in stages. So don't rush your rebirth. You're not just shifting, but really the whole universe is shifting. So what feels unclear today or hard today is still going to be made clearer later. If you're like, oh, Phoenician Priestess, nothing from the first eclipse has really happened or changed in my life. I feel lost, etc., etc. Remember, I talk about the timing. Yes, it is the most potent time, the month before to the month after, most especially the 2 weeks, most especially the week, most especially the 3 days before, most especially the day of, and then the period in between, and then reverse it for the next one. But they do roll out within 6 months, and that can't be unsaid. So just know that you're not late and everything is happening in divine timing. And also, if you're feeling really wild right now and wacky, that is totally normal, because the amount of things happening in the sky, amount of retrogrades, big transits like the ingress of Neptune at critical degree, same time with eclipses, it's a lot. So a lot of people are going to be feeling it. So don't be too hard on yourself. Okay, moving into all signs. Actually, just kidding. Before moving into all signs, if you like this video or appreciate the work that goes into it, please like, follow, and subscribe, and comment for more. It helps me out so much, and it helps more people see this video. And if you'd like a chance to win a free reading, I believe this is the last video to enter for the next one. All you have to do is subscribe and comment. And if you have not subscribed, if you have subscribed before, then all you need to do is just comment, and every additional comment counts as additional entry. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them. I've also launched my new website, Phoenician Priestess, where you can go and schedule readings with me. I do a myriad of different types of readings, including very in-depth love ones. Wink, wink. My wink came early there. And I've also launched my Instagram, the absolute baby Instagram, but I started to post on it, and you can find me at Phoenician Priestess. And if you want to check out my book, it is To My Second Love, which is dedicated to the archetype of the second love, not my personal second love. It's a question I get commonly asked. It's the archetype. It's about the philosophical archetype of the second love and the journey of the second love, because the second love journey is a spiritual catalyst. I go into that in the book. You can find the description in the bio. And I spoke last week. I hosted a workshop at a Empowerment for Women Summit. And the replays are available. You get access to a whole 3 days of 20 plus women from around the world facilitating these amazing events. And it was purposely timed with the Spring Equinox, which was on the 22nd of March. And is all about rebirth. And the Spring Equinox is also the Astrological New Year. So happy Astrological New Year. And it's the Phoenician New Year. And it's the Persian New Year. And it's the Babylonian New Year. Okay, I'll stop. And so it's also a time to be starting new things. And so it's a great time to watch the summit. I highly recommend it. And for those who watch the summit, I include a lot of freebies as well as discounts to work for me. Sorry. ADD is very active today. It's also very late in my day. Last thing I will say. What is the last thing I will say? So I did a bad job because I didn't post about the last video like I normally do. So if you haven't yet, I really recommend you go back and watch the Spring Equinox video, which is the Astrological New Year video. It's basically the last video I posted where I am dressed like this. And the reason is because you can still action a lot of the rituals and things I talk about in that video until April 1st, which is my own timeline, and I explain why in the video. And a lot of the energy active for the Spring Equinox goes on till April 1st. And in that video, I also give my forecast for the entire Astrological New Year, looking at the charts related to that exact day of the Spring Equinox. So you don't want to miss it, because my forecasts are very accurate and you're going to want to tell your friends what happened. And you know what? If you're smart, you can even use my forecast to go bet on, what's that website? Polymarket. You're welcome. Okay. Now, without further ado, let's get into the all signs. Hello, Aries, suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse forecast for the Aries new moon eclipse happening on March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries from 3:48 to 3:58 a.m. PST. Don't forget to prioritize listening to your rising sign first, and then your sun, and then your moon. Those, in most people's cases, are 3 different things. And please do not forget to subscribe, watch the intro for collective themes, timing, and very important eclipse tips that I simply cannot repeat for each sign, or I will be having 5-hour videos. And also comment your sign below and let me know what you're feeling and how much of these land true. Also, last chance to enter the giveaway. But that and more announcements are in the intro, so go watch that. Okay, so Aries, for you, you are having identity breakthroughs. You may feel like an old version of yourself is burning off. Some parts of your personality, your style, your self-conflict. Some parts of your personality, style, self-concept, or even your name may be shifting. How you view yourself is shifting. You have new beginnings starting here. There could be things that are challenging you, that are causing this rebirth within you. I'm trying to think of what happened when this happened in my first house. You could be redoing your appearance entirely. You might be initiating something bold, like, I meant bold, like not bald, bold. Like a move or a brand, a breakup, a confession. You could be having plastic surgery for some of you. And if it doesn't make sense somehow, these new things will somehow be shifting your identity. You could even have a desire to declutter your life, to start fresh with how you show up. You could be feeling triggered by attention, visibility, or being misunderstood, or you could feel like you've outgrown a lot of people in your life. Some of you could be having health or body-related wake-up calls. Not always dramatic, but enough to push you into new health patterns. Some of you could be having a flash of realization about a past partner, relationship, or pattern that really shaped your identity more than you thought. Some of you may feel like you're floating between 2 versions of yourself, not who you were, but not fully who you're becoming. So just trust in the in-between if that's you. Clarity could start building around on why you've been so internally foggy. And you might be taking concrete action on something that you've only been imagining. There could be emotional tension for some of you around home, family, or safety that could come up. You could feel like you're fighting for your space, your privacy, your peace. People from the past may be triggering an identity shift, either through appearance or inner clarity and growth, or maybe how you've changed since they were in your life. Part of you might be wanting to take massive action, and another part of you is unsure if it's coming from your ego or your intuition. So advice here is not to rush decisions. For some of you, strong emotional, spiritual, and energetic activity is happening in your 12th house at this time. Well, actually, that's all of you if you're listening to this. But some of you will be feeling it. And for some of you, you could be feeling it like dreams, triggers, endings, hard mental health, isolation, or karmic loops that are heightened. Overall, Aries, think before you react. Listen to your intuition. And if you're feeling called to rebirth a sense of self, then you're in the right direction. And so stay aligned to that. Hello, Taurus, Taurus suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your March 29th eclipse forecast. The eclipse will be at 9 degrees of Aries, happening between 3:48 to 3:58 a.m., and it is a solar eclipse, and it is a partial eclipse. For more details and to know what that means, you know what to do. Watch the intro, because the intro, as always, jam-packed with great information on timing, the aspects for this eclipse that I'll be using to bring you your forecast. What even is an aspect? Great question. Watch the intro. And also my predictions for the collective level that could be unfolding in your life, as well as my awesome prediction for the, on the more current events level. Now, don't forget to listen to your rising and then your moon and then your sun, rising and then your sun and then your moon, to get a better holistic ideas, since this is a general reading. So for you, my dear Taurian, there is a deep need for rest, retreat, or time away from people. You may suddenly be craving quiet, solitude, or a space to process what's ending behind the scenes. You could be having a hidden truth for some of you that come to light, maybe a secret, maybe your own avoidance, maybe a hidden truth within your subconscious. For some of you, you could feel exhausted, spaced out, emotionally drained, or like your body is asking for a full reset. Listen, because your nervous system could be processing more than you realize. For some of you, you could be having mental health and emotional health struggles or a down low moment. For some of you, this could be an emotional or mental health breakthrough. Maybe it could be like hiring a coach or reading a self-help book or doing a workshop, or having spiritual awakening, mini awakening, or journaling. And this is, for a lot of you, it's actually a powerful time to start that or start spiritual or emotional work, even if it doesn't look like it's productive. Listen to your body during this time if your body or mental health or spiritual health is asking for an emotional reset, because your nervous system might be processing way more than you realize. For some of you, you could be confronting an emotional or spiritual blind spot that's been holding you back. Some of you could have a private ending that leads to a future beginning. For some of you, you could have a dream, intuition, or emotional memory that reveals what you've been energetically carrying from someone else. I know that's very specific. For some of you, something is dissolving internally, old patterns, regrets, fears, and it might be hard to name, but it's clearing space for your next chapter. For some of you, you'll soon be seeing which friendships, goals, or group dynamics were real and which were fantasy. I've suddenly felt like the Arabic astrology news people that I used to watch on TV when I was growing up. If you know what I'm talking about, then you get what I mean. For some of you, there could be subconscious anger or defensiveness or protective instincts that could show up in conversations, especially around things to do with siblings, neighbors, technology, or your voice being heard, or miscommunications. For some of you, a past friendship or an ex-lover or a community dynamic might resurface, not to repeat, but to finally close. For some of you, don't shoot the messenger. For some of you, your inner dialogue might be feeling more agitated and anxious, and then it could suddenly go quiet again. So be mindful with words and what you absorb. For some of you, your friendship, your dreams, your goals, your community, and visibility is full of karmic shifts and spiritual energy right now. So don't rush clarity. It's all still forming, and listen to your intuition when it comes to this time. Hello, Gemini suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse forecast for the Aries solar eclipse happening on March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries from 3:48 a.m. PST to 3:58 a.m. PST. Please don't forget to prioritize listening to your rising sign and then listen to your sun and moon. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe, comment your sign, watch the intro for the collective themes, timing, and a lot of other important eclipse tips that have to do with you actually understanding this eclipse and where my forecasts are coming from. So for you, Gemini, you are feeling big shifts in your social circle, in your friendships, in your long-term goals. Who do I know that's a Gemini ascendant? In your sense of belonging. You may be feeling disconnected from your community, from certain friendships or group dynamics. You could suddenly be craving a new community. You could be feeling like, I don't belong. Do I belong here? For some of you, you could be getting the answer to all of those, and that answer is coming via change. So suddenly finding people or joining new ones, etc. So for some of you, a new network, a new team, a new audience, a new community, and new friends could be forming around you, even subtly. Did I say that right? And it will align more authentically with your values and who you are and your voice. For some of you, you could be starting or joining a project, a movement, or a vision-based group that feels very soul-aligned, especially if it connects you to advocacy, healing, or leadership. If some of you have been putting off taking your dreams seriously, naughty, this eclipse could be bringing a moment of, why not now? Why isn't this happening to me? And I've had enough. And be pushing you into action. For some of you, a connection with a past friend or follower could resurface, leading to emotional insight or energetic closure. Something you thought you wanted, a certain kind of popularity or platform or friendship or goal or dream may feel energetically empty right now, and you're tuning into deeper alignment. For some of you, actually, I'm seeing this energy a lot in your chart. And remember, this is general, but a lot of you will be having really that energy of acting on your dreams and not just visualizing. That's a very big energy for you. So for you, the fog is lifting and action phase is beginning. New direction in career, public work, dreams, purpose, or visibility could unfold for you in the next 6 months. For some of you, there's strong emotional motivation to achieve something, but it may be being tied to a fear of not being good enough. So notice whether your actions are fueled by desire of something or by actually proving something, like a proving energy, proving your worth, proving, etc. For some of you, a past romantic partner or collaborator may resurface through a friend or a social network, but not all connections are meant to stay. Some are just meant to reveal your growth or help you with it. For some of you, there's some inner tension between being seen, recognized, or validated for who you really are, and that could peak and then shift. And for a lot of you, there could be status, visibility, career, purpose shift, or you're experiencing deep review when it comes to that, or emotionally recalibrating how career fits in your life, or some certain career changes and long-term alignment shifts. Don't rush clarity because it will come in waves. Hello, Cancers. Welcome to your solar eclipse forecast for the new moon eclipse happening in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries on March 29th at exactly, I have it written down, 3:48 a.m. to 3:58 a.m. PST. That is the peak. Please do not forget to listen to your rising primarily, and then also to your sun and moon to get an overall picture, since this is a general reading. Please don't also forget that I do really amazing in-depth one-on-one readings that you can schedule with the link in my bio or at PhoenicianPriestess.com. And make sure you're spelling Phoenician right, because it is a very common typo. Please also don't forget to subscribe, to comment your sign or any questions below, and to please watch the intro for collective themes, timing, and important eclipse tips, and for things that I cannot repeat in this video because I would be talking for hours. So, my dear, lovely, sweet, sensitive, and sometimes a bit whack Cancers, just kidding. You are having major career or public image shifts. You may feel the urge to start over. You could be applying for new jobs. You could be having really serious work problems or changes that maybe are not bad in that sense, but pivot you somehow. Or you're finally claiming a title or identity that you've been circling for months or for years. For some of you, a boss, authority figure, or client or platform may leave your life, or a new one may suddenly appear. For some of you, you could be recognized for something you didn't expect. For some, you could be feeling simultaneously overwhelmed, but also motivated. Trust that your sensitivity isn't your weakness. For some, your long-term vision is about to get clearer. Over the next 6 months, you're going to feel more confident, initiating bold, self-directed moves, especially tied to career or soul purpose work or leadership. For some, past work relationships could return to the surface. For some, you could be having bursts of clarity about what needs to happen in your career, followed by emotional fog or doubt. So just let the plans evolve. For some, your long-term direction, expansion, belief, spirituality is really getting an overhaul. You could be rethinking what you think about faith or moving or life, or politics, or education or publishing. Some of you could be considering going into those things. So things to be aware of as you flow in, and just surrender to what comes up in this time. Hello, Leo, suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast for the eclipse happening at 9 degrees of Aries on March 29th. And you are not going to want to miss my intro, because I talk about all the other crazy stuff happening even during and the day after, and all of this that is playing a part in where my forecast for you is coming from. Please remember to prioritize your rising sun and moon, and don't forget to comment your sign, ask any questions, subscribe, and again, watch the intro for all the updates, including the next giveaway. Okay, so for you, Leo, you have new beginnings tied to travel, tied to new belief systems, spirituality, publishing, writing, or education. You could feel the urge to expand your world, literally or philosophically. You could have a sudden trip, a new course, or a shift in your worldview that could realign your life direction. You could realize that your current environment is too small for the person that you want to be. Some of you could be having stuff to do with immigration. Maybe you're thinking about immigrating somewhere, or there's some immigration issue, or some legal matters or immigration matters could suddenly shift. Some of you could feel pulled to teach, speak, or write, or share your truth in a bigger way. Some of you could be having a life philosophy revisit, or belief revisit, or religious revisit that once shaped you, that you're relooking at again and finally releasing or reclaiming it from a place of maturity. Some of you could be experiencing confusion about faith, about your direction in life, your life purpose, and that could feel intensified recently, but this is just part of an old dream dissolving for a new dream to come through. For some of you, over the next 6 months, you'll be feeling inspired to take bold spiritual or philosophical action. For some of you, emotions could be building beneath the surface, especially tied to control, avoidance, or fear of the unknown. This could show up as sleep disruption, overthinking, restlessness. For some of you, an internal connection, mentor, or past relationship that taught you a lot could reappear in some way. If so, watch what it reveals. For some of you, you could be having a sudden insight around a spiritual or life decision. For some of you, there's emphasis as well on intimacy, emotional vulnerability, sex, trauma, shared resources, shared finances, soul contracts. So for a lot of you, you could be asked to renegotiate a lot of that energetic bond, and could be having a lot of changes when it comes to that. Hi Virgos, and welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast. The eclipse is happening on March 29th at exactly 9 degrees of Aries and peaking between 3:48 a.m. to 3:58 a.m. PST. Please don't forget to listen to your rising, your sun, and your moon, as well as don't forget to please subscribe, comment your sign below, and most importantly, watch the intro for the collective themes, timings, my predictions for current events, and for things that'll come up in your life, as well as very important tips to do with this eclipse. Okay, so Virgo. For you, you have a major shift when it comes to your intimacy, your wounds, your energetic entanglements, your shared resources and shared finances. This could mean if you provide for anyone or if anyone provides for you, or a business partner's shared finances in that sense. Sex, intimacy, and soul bonds. We're talking like Gomez and Morticia Adams vibes. and as well as power dynamics. So you could be initiating or ending or have a new start when it comes to a joint financial agreement. This could include business deals, loans, inheritances, or even energetic debts that are no longer fair. There could be something big happening with you to do with loans, debt, or taxes, or business partnerships. There could be themes of intimacy, control, or vulnerability that are activated. You may suddenly feel more ready to open up or fiercely protective of your energy. Some of you could be exploring sacred sexuality or having a new birth to your sexuality or a change here. So if you were more unconscious when it came to sexuality, sex, maybe you watched a lot of porn, maybe you had casual sex, you could be calling your energy back in that sense, or you could be learning how to change in that sense. For some of you, you could be exploring things like tantra, sex magic, and very conscious sexual practices. For some of you, if you've been giving too much emotionally and financially, this eclipse may push you to reclaim power and to reinforce your boundaries. For some of you, there could be a deeper psychological truth emerging about a past relationship, and this could help you understand your pattern of trust, of money, or enmeshment. Some of you could have a sudden realization for a deep soul bond that you had in the past. For some of you, you could be seeing where your wounds, your fears, and your deepest traumas that went unsolved, as well as limiting beliefs, stopped you in a lot of ways in your life. And that could be coming up to heal. For some of you, something you've internalized about what you're allowed to have, whether it's love or money or support, may begin to dissolve. So an old scarcity or fear-based belief is ending, or an old block to intimacy is ending. For a lot of you, a new era begins in your emotional and energetic and sexual contracts. Over the next 6 months, you'll feel bolder in protecting your energy, but also in claiming your desires, especially in intimacy, business, or sex. For some of you, emotional tension may arise around friends, groups, or your place belonging in a community. Emotional tension could mean a sense of not belonging, a sense of feeling lost, a sense of quiet resentment, or a desire to pull back and protect your energy, or to seek emotional fulfillment in community. For some of you, someone who you are either emotionally entangled with, spiritually entangled with, or financially entangled with could reappear, or you could be wanting to reappear in their life. This could trigger insight, healing, closure, or rebirth. For some of you, insight on how deeply you've been affected by a past emotional, spiritual, or sexual entanglement may hit you. So you will be getting emotional clarity on what to do about that right now or very soon. For a lot of you, Virgos, your house of relationships is also highly activated during this time, even though this eclipse is in your 8th house, which it takes the 7th house of relationships, and actually makes it deeper. So for you, expect a lot of emotional processing, reflection, and redefinition of what you want in a partnership. With the heavy retrograde energy in this house, as well as your North Node there, the North Node there, and Saturn there, and the ingress is happening there, expect a lot of thinking of past love, and actually that could be coming into action one way or another. And so if your intuition is calling you to a certain way, listen to that, but as always, use discernment. Hello, Libras, suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast. The eclipse is happening at exactly 9 degrees of Aries and peaking between 3:48 a.m. to 3:58 a.m. PST. Don't forget to listen to your rising sign first, as well as your sun and your moon for an overall view, because this is such a... Hello, Libra. Sorry you are getting worse camera quality than all the previous signs because my camera is not working. So we're going to make do with this. Okay, don't forget to listen to your sun, moon, and rising. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and watch the intro for collective themes, timing, and important eclipse updates. Let's see what we can do with this camera. Whatever. We're going to wing it. because I don't know what's going on with my camera. Okay, forecast for you, Libras. You have a major shift in your relationships. Oh, hey, I'm a sun in Libra. Okay, anyway, you have a major shift in your relationships. I don't know. I say this in all the videos. I prepare these in advance before I record. So of course, sometimes I forget what I wrote because I wrote this like a week ago. So this could be a new person coming in, or it could be a current dynamic changing suddenly. So if you're single, you could meet someone. Oh, I just got happy for a client who I know is a Libra rising and has been wanting love. That's great. Who else? Oh, yeah. Or if you're married or in a relationship, it could be taking it to the next level. So like proposal, engagement, moving in together, serious commitment, exclusive, etc., having a baby. You could feel called to initiate a relationship-related conversation, to set a boundary, or to completely pivot how you show up in partnership. This could also bring a fresh start in how you relate to others, stand up for your needs and what you actually want. Let's see, looking at your charts. Or it could reveal some kind of cycles in you to break, in terms of breaking people-pleasing cycles, which, by the way, I actually just hosted a workshop on that last weekend. Libra Sun, you see? And if you want to know more about that, you can sign up. I talk about it at the beginning, but also the link is below. You could buy the replay. As well as confronting codependency. For some of you, a significant relationship could begin or end unexpectedly, or reveal a new layer that changes everything. For some of you, a soul level lesson or a karmic pattern in relationships could come up for awareness or closure. For some of you, you could be feeling like a very Psyche Eros love connection, which I described at the beginning of this video, a very soulmate, soul union, divine union connection. For you, fog, illusion, or projection around partnership may feel heavy right now, but it's signaling the final dissolution of a past version of how you do love. For some of you, a bold new relationship era is starting, and over the next 6 months, you'll feel called to take action in love with more clarity, confidence, and courage than before. Isn't that beautiful? For some of you, emotional intensity may flare up around your career, or visibility, or being seen in public. You might feel both motivated or overly sensitive to others' opinions. For some of you, there's definitely something to do with a past partner or an ex or a former relationship dynamic that is resurfacing for reflection, even if it's just mentally. Pay attention to how you've grown, and if you felt like that you didn't show up in your best energy, this could be pushing you maybe towards a rebirth. This could either just be through lessons, or through releasing, or through actually a new chapter in this relationship. For some of you, you're having clarity on what you want in love, in commitment, and a partner. And this could, for some of you, be beginning, and then can feel more clear later in April. For some of you, you have that clarity now. For some of you, that could be changing. So if in the past you wanted a certain thing, or you didn't want commitment, or you didn't want whatever, and now you're suddenly wanting these things. For some of you, at the same time, there is a clearing cycle when it comes to your health, your habits, and your daily work life. And take it easy. There's an aspect here of taking certain aspects of work and daily routine easy. Sorry, I wish my camera was working. I don't know how to get this. Okay. Don't overwork or overgive. And there's a relationship here about daily work life, and things to do with partnership and happiness and balance as well. Okay. Thank you, Libra. Sorry that my camera broke during your video. Hello, Scorpio, suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to the solar eclipse in Aries forecast. It is a new moon eclipse happening at 9 degrees of Aries between 3:48 a.m. and 3:58 a.m. That's PST. Please don't forget to prioritize listening to your rising, your sun, and your moon. My camera stopped working halfway through this, so we are going with the computer camera, which is not as good, so please forgive me for that. And also don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out so much. And also comment your sign, comment if you have any questions. Let me know as well, what if this has already come true. And please, the most important part, watch the intro, because I talk about timing. If you feel like nothing has happened yet, watch that. Collective themes, as well as important eclipse tips and the aspects that are affecting where I'm getting my forecast from. You know, I just realized with the computer camera, this looks blue, but it's actually supposed to be a purple light. That's fine. A little bit off brand though. Anyway, for you, Scorpio, there is a big reset when it comes to your health habits, your work environment, your daily routines. For some of you, even pets. You may suddenly need to reprioritize how you manage your energy, time, or responsibilities. For some of you, there could be a change in your job in terms of maybe your coworkers or new task structure or your more day-to-day aspects of your job. Maybe how much time you're spending at work or your routine when it comes to that. Some of you could be feeling a surge of motivation to organize, declutter, change your schedule, or commit to a new physical or mental health protocol. There's for a lot of you, a big mind, body, spirit reboot. So burnout, resentment, or overgiving patterns can come to the surface to release. Some of you could be focusing a lot on your physical health and introducing new health routines, whether it's like joining a gym or hiring a trainer or starting a new supplement. Some of you, there could be an actual change in your health, like a health condition. Not necessarily bad. It could be a positive momentum forward. Or a breakthrough, something like that. For some of you, there is deep emotional pattern tied to overworking, proving yourself, or feeling useful that could come to the surface. For some of you, you could be feeling very drained right now, and that's totally normal. For some of you, you'll be taking bold, aligned action in your physical, spiritual, or work life. So over the next 6 months, expect clearer habits, better boundaries, more self-led health support. There's something here about you. It's important for you when it comes to having better health to actually listen to your intuition. So if you're ignoring that, don't. And if you're actually able to integrate more things to do with your intuition and how your body is leading you and your spirit is leading you, you will feel a great improvement to your health. Some of you could feel sudden emotional intensity or control issues rise up around travel, belief systems, spirituality, future plans. Just breathe through the need to manage everything. Going back to the health thing, some of you, your health could look totally different in 6 months because of all of these changes you're implementing. And some of these changes right now could come in the form of lessons. So just know that if it is coming in the form of lessons, it's happening for a reason. And that reason is to help you expand. And so this is kind of giving great energy in terms of leaps forward when it comes to that. So even, like I said, even if it's something to do with your health that may seem bad right now, but it's actually going to lead to something good. For some of you, someone from a past job or workspace or wellness path could resurface and remind you of who you were before. Some of you could be having insights around burnout or health problems or health habits or what needs to change or things like that, that could come through and then dissolve again. For some of you, your 5th house of creativity, pleasure, romance, flings, self-expression, entrepreneurship, hobbies, is also getting a lot of action and also children. So you could be having a lot of emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, and real life energy around there at this time. And a lot of maybe possible risk taking as well as things under review, and things can feel stagnant and with a lot of lessons, but also being pushed very forward when it comes to that. Hello, Sagittarius, Suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your forecast for the solar eclipse in Aries. It is happening at exactly 9 degrees of Aries between 3:48 a.m. and 3:58 a.m. PST. That's the peak. And on March 29th, 2025. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend that you listen to the intro because I talk about timing, collective themes, collective predictions, important eclipse tips, the aspects I'm using that will be affecting this forecast, as well as other stuff. Please don't forget to prioritize your rising sign and then listen to your sun and moon, and also subscribe and comment because it helps me out so much and I love it and it helps people see this video. And last but not least, actually, I think that was the last and the least. Okay, so for you, dear Sages, you have a fresh start when it comes to your self-expression, your romantic life, or your creative direction. This is a heart-centered reset that might be bringing unexpected desires or inspiration or emotional risk-taking. You could be feeling pulled to create, date, or express yourself more boldly, even if there's uncertainty. This is about real passion and not perfection. And there is a big energy here that is actually taking you away from perfection. And that's asking you to step away from that and to be more into the doing and acting and feeling and less in the mental stuckness and planning. A new chapter could be opening in your romantic life. I just thought of a Sagittarius rising client. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Or a new creative project or hobbies, or reconnecting with childhood joy could take you on a new depth of visibility. Children or inner child healing or long-term forgotten dreams could resurface, which could be asking you to reconnect with your authentic joy. Past love, artistic influence, or moment of rejection could come back to you emotionally and spiritually. And this could be coming to offer insights and some kind of closure and growth. You could be feeling a temporary dip in motivation and inspiration. And don't worry, that's here to clear out what's been blocking you from joy or creativity or living in the present or over idealizing. There's a really big, new, bold era for you that's beginning in your self-embodiment, in your self-expression, and reconnection with your inner child or children, and joy, and just love and romance. So you could be taking bigger emotional risks, owning your desires more fully, or launching into new hobbies or things like that. You could have emotional waves that could be building up around money, shared finances, so you providing for people or people providing for you, love, intimacy, visibility, and things like that. Stuff to do with your sense of home is being heavily revisited. Home, family, roots, ancestral roots, emotional safety. You could be rethinking where you belong, how you live, what home actually means to your soul. And for some of you, a past romantic connection or unfinished story around love or visibility could return, as well as limiting beliefs that have stopped you when it comes to that. Hello, Capricorns, Capricorn suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast. The new moon eclipse is happening at 9 degrees of Aries on March 29th, from peaking between 3:48 a.m. PST to 3:58 a.m. PST. Don't forget to prioritize listening to your rising sign and your sun and your moon to get a holistic view, since this is a general reading. Please subscribe. Don't forget to comment your sign or what's come true. And the most important part is watching the intro, because that's where I talk about collective themes, timings, and important eclipse tips. Also, sorry for the video quality. My camera broke halfway through filming this. Stopped working. I don't want to say the word broke, so bear with me. All right. As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. So for you Capricorn, you could be having major shifts tied to your home, your family, your living situation, your emotional foundations. For some of you, your relationship with your mom, motherhood, or female mother figure in your life. You could feel the urge to move, rearrange your space, set a boundary with family, or start fresh with how you root yourself. You could be having updates or changes related to your living space and living home. You could be upgrading it or changing it somehow. You could be wanting to buy somewhere new. You could be having asking yourself, what does home mean for me? What do roots mean for me? What does family mean for me? There could be something happening in the life with your mom or your mother, or if your partner is a mother for your child, or if you yourself are the mother. This could be also an emotional reset. So you could be clearing out childhood imprints, grief, or outdated loyalty to family systems that no longer serve you, or you could be reconnecting with that. You could be feeling an urge to reclaim your lineage, reclaim your safety on your own terms, or change your relationship with the concept of home. You could be feeling very emotional and emotionally flooded, or nostalgic, or just deeply tired. There could be a new era that's a long-term era beginning when it comes to your sense of home or belonging. So in the next 6 months, you could be initiating a move or establishing new roots, or emotionally liberating yourself, or connecting with people on a deeper emotional level. Sorry, this is when I get to Capricorn, I would have been talking for hours. So my words start to fumble themselves. You could be having tension building up around relationships, especially where emotional needs are being met, or independence or timing feeling mismatched. This could bring clarity to that, or for some confusion. For some of you, a past partner or relationship dynamic could re-enter to be reviewed emotionally. And you're being shown really how much your relationship patterns are actually tied to your family and to early conditioning and to wounds that you haven't processed yet related to that. You may want to explain or act suddenly in a relationship or a home situation and then doubt it. So you could be having a lot of volatility when it comes to this. The truth will settle before you make a permanent decision. For some of you, things to do with communication, messages, mindset, siblings, neighbors, or short-term plans and travel is active with some kind of spiritual rewiring, and you're learning to speak and think from a deeper and slower place. Hello, Aquarius. Aquarius suns, moons, and rising. Welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast. This is for the eclipse happening on March 29th at exactly 9 degrees of Aries and peaking from 3:48 a.m. PST to 3:58 a.m. PST. Don't forget to prioritize listening to your rising, your sun, and your moon. Rising, of course, will always come first and should be the most accurate, but because this is a general reading and I can't see your chart, but you can schedule with me if you'd like me to. Link in bio, link in about section. Then that's why I want you to listen to all three. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe. Helps me out so much, and you can keep up to date. Comment your sign or any questions or accuracies that have already happened comes up. And most importantly, watch the intro for collective themes, timing, and important eclipse tips. Aquarius, you are having a major reset in how you think, communicate, or manage your day-to-day. You might change how you speak, teach, write, or express your opinions, especially online or within communities. There could be something happening that's very important to do with your neighbors, or as well as the life of your siblings. For some of you, you could be buying a new car or having car problems, or something could be happening with your car. For some of you, you could be creating a new social media page or communicate or starting a small business or having big advancement when it comes to writing or publishing or speaking. For some of you, this could also bring news, contracts, or short-term travel that shifts your direction. It could feel like it's something small, but down the line, this could be something that really changes your life somehow. For some of you, there could be a conversation or a message that's unexpected that could hit differently right now and trigger some really deep, new, life-changing awareness about how you've been silencing or censoring or doubting your voice. For some of you, if you've kept quiet or over-explained, this is the time to reclaim directness and embodiment in speech. For some of you, you could be feeling very foggy or mentally stimulated. And you've been maybe overthinking, and your brain is kind of helping you rewire to fix that. Over the next 6 months, really expect changes in how you write, learn, speak, or share your voice, or think, or intellectualize, or something to do, for some of you, issues with neighbors or siblings. For some of you, you could be feeling an emotional need to get more organized or create healthier boundaries when it comes to your time or your body or your health. But overwhelm could make it hard for you to execute that initially. For some of you, there is, again, something with old neighbor, sibling, or past client that is affecting your daily routine that is arising to be either reevaluated or released. For some of you, you could be feeling the urge to message someone or take a stand, but sometimes feeling uncertain about that. So let that settle before making decisions. For some of you, while all this is happening, you're having really big themes come up and changes come up when it comes to your money, your values, your resources, your assets, and real estate. And something to do with these changes is actually spiritually tuned, even if it doesn't seem that way initially. Hello, Pisces. Pisces suns, moons, and risings. Welcome to your solar eclipse in Aries forecast. The new moon eclipse is happening on March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries, peaking between 3:48 a.m. PST to 3:58 a.m. PST. Please do not forget to prioritize listening to your rising sign and then your sun and moon and ascendant, since this is a general reading. But don't forget, you can always schedule one-on-one readings with me. The link is in the bio, but it's also at PhoenicianPriestess.com. Please don't forget to watch the intro. That's the most important thing, because I talk about collective themes that could be applying to your life. I make predictions there, as well as timings and how to understand timing so you don't get upset if things haven't happened yet, and other important eclipse tips like the aspects I'm looking at to examine my forecast. Also, feel free to comment your sign or what's already come through true or any questions below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates. So for you, Pisces, this is a big one because you're having a major shift in your life when it comes to money, resources, self-worth, or the way you value your time and your energy. You could suddenly be feeling done with settling or undercharging, or you could start something bold to reclaim your value. You could be having a new money opportunity come through, whether it's something like a new client or a new investment or a new job. You could be suddenly taking control of things like certain money accounts or budgeting or investments or how you're spending or things like that. You could be getting bolder with investment, or financial clarity could appear, or you could walk away from something that no longer honors your worth. Your relationship to self-respect and what you allow in your field is totally evolving. And this is coming with it a new money mindset, an energetic boundary update. Your own worth is getting solidified in you even further. You could be reflecting on past situations where you gave too much, either emotionally or physically or financially, and you could be reclaiming your power there. There could be, at the same time with all of this, right? Because there's a lot of, if you listen to the beginning, a lot of kind of converging energies happening in the same place. Same time of all of this, you could actually be feeling fog around money and purpose or self-confidence. And that fog could be peaking. You could be feeling emotionally full or uncertain when it comes to that, or volatile. But that's to clear out what's no longer aligned and to push you further into what is more aligned. And you should be getting more clarity with that as time goes forward. And this is all happening because a new identity is coming online. You're being asked to lead with clarity, purpose, soul confidence, not fantasy nor fear. And you're being asked to cement things in the real world and to take action forward instead of getting stuck in dream or emotional land. That being said, speaking of emotional land, emotional energy could be running very hot for you, pun intended, around creativity, sex, dating, or children. Especially if you've been ignoring your needs or dimming your passion. And this could be, there's a connection here actually for you to explore to do with passion and joy and your net worth and money. And that's actually a key right now for you to be unlocking more financial abundance. Now, I'm looking very pensive because I'm a Pisces rising, and that's also advice for me. What I would also recommend you look into the connection between sexual energy and net worth, and how important that is, and the connection. And so, in astrology and in spirituality, many spiritual teachings, especially the ancient ones, there is a connection. Sexual energy is creation energy, and it's tied to joy. And there's a connection between sexual energy and finances and abundance because you are creating and calling in more of that. And so look into that and ways that could help you or block you to have more abundance. This is especially true, like I said, if you've been dimming your own needs or ignoring them or ignoring the need for that, or if you're trying to force something to work financially for something where you don't have passion in. It could even be understood this way. Take a step back and try to redirect to something you're more passionate in, or doing it in a way that brings more passion into you. For some of you, a past romantic, financial, or artistic or creative situation could come back for reflection. Something you thought you needed may no longer hold value, and also something you thought you didn't need could hold more value. For some of you, you could be feeling a sense of urgency or confusion about what to charge or launch or say, but clarity is coming. And at the same time with all of this, your identity, your style, your appearance, your body, your beliefs, your magnetism, and how you show up in the world and how you deal with the world is going through major spiritual restructuring. And there's a deep soul recalibration happening with all this time. So for you, Pisces, this is a very potent time for you, and who you are, and indeed how much you're even worth financially could really look different in 6 months. Okay.
Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more. And if you have any questions, let me know. And again, please listen to the intro because it is so important. Yeah, and have a wonderful eclipse season. And do remember that eclipses are very emotionally volatile times, to just surrender to what comes up. And I swear to God, it's going to get better. And they're bringing things that are actually going to elevate you in your life, even if it doesn't seem so at the beginning for some of the changes.